So in most of the cases, we don't have to use while at all. So for loop is good enough for us, but there are very few cases where we have to while loop. So we are forced to use while loop. So the while loop in Python is used to iterate over a block of code as long as the text expression is true. So whenever we have any sequence, we go for, I'm sorry. So whenever we have any sequence, we go for loop, but we don't have any sequence. If we don't have any sequence, if we have to just the condition to be checked, then we go for while loop. So we generally use this loop when we don't know the number of times we iterate beforehand. So syntax of while loop is pretty same as per. It is like while, and then there is this text expression, and then body of while, and then there is this colon. So pretty similar to if, etc. So in the while loop, text expression is checked first. The body of loop is entered only if text expression evaluates to true. After one iteration, the text expression is checked again. This process continues until the text expression evaluates to false. In Python, body of while loop is determined through indentation, just like if condition, for loop, etc. The body starts with indentation and first unindented line marks the end. And here also, just like if Python interprets any non-zero value as true, none and zero are interpreted as false. Okay, let us look at one more example of while loop. Okay, let me just say my a is 10. Okay, while a is less than 5, I want to say a minus equals to 1 and then print of a, or let's just say print of a and then do. So what I'm doing is first I'm checking whether value of a is less than 5 or not. Otherwise, if it is like not less than 5, then it is true. That means it is greater than 5. I'm printing the value and subtracting 1 from value. So here it is like while condition and then print statement some body of while. Okay. Okay. So here it is. So I'm checking whether a is greater than 5 or not. Okay. If a is greater than 5, in this case, which is 10 is greater than 5, I'm decrementing the values. So I'm just printing the value and decrementing the value. So it is, we don't have any iterator here. We don't have any iterator. There is no list, there is no string, there is no tuple, dictionary, etc. So in these cases where we don't have an iterator, we go for while loop, where we have any text expression that needs to be evaluated. So now let us look at while loop with else. Just like for loop has an optional else, while also has optional else block. So else block is executed if condition of while loop evaluates to true. So whenever remember the if condition, if is false, it goes to else, right? So whenever the while loop if is true, the body of while is executed. Once the condition becomes false, else part is executed. And just like for if we have a break statement, the while loop will be while the else part will be ignored. So that is while loop. Okay. So now for I in range of 10, for I in range of 10, print of I. So if my I equals to 5, then I'll say break. So let us run it and check the output. So first, it ideally, if there is no break, it should print all 10 elements, 0 to 9, right? But whenever it encoded 5, it has printed 5. Whenever it encountered 5, it has break. Matlab, meaning it has come out of this particular for loop. Once break is encountered, it has come out of for loop. So that is the break. So let us look at continue as well, and then let us ponder over the difference between these two. Okay. So now see, for I in range of 10, print of I, if I equals to 5, continue. You can't actually see the difference between, because we are doing print before that one. If I do print after continue, you can see the difference. Now what I'm doing is, I'm checking if my I equals to 5 and continue. That means if my I is not 5, print I. If my I equals to 5, then skip that 5. Skip that 5. So that is what it did. It skipped the value of 5. After 4, we can directly see 6 here. It skipped the value. So that is what continue does. Break will exit the loop directly. So when we encounter break, it will exit the complete loop directly, but continue, it doesn't exit. It will only skip whatever the next blocks of lines are. The next blocks of statements, it will skip. It will go back to for loop again. So here is the flowchart of break. So first text expression of loop enters the loop for loop, and then if break is there, then it exits the loop completely. If break is not there, then remaining part of loop. It keeps doing it till it encounters break. Once break is encountered, it comes out of the loop directly. Okay, this is the flowchart of continue. So first text expression, if continue it is true, then it will go on execute. If it continues false, then remaining body of loop is executed. If you encounter continue, then remaining part of body is skipped for that particular, for only but that particular iteration it is skipped. For rest all the iterations it will continue as such, like normally as if nothing. And lastly, Python pass statement. So in Python program, the pass statement is a null statement. So the difference between a comment and a pass statement in Python is that while interpreter completely ignores a comment, pass is not ignored. So however, nothing happens when the pass is executed. It results in no operation. So you can consider pass as a placeholder for functionality to be added later. For I in range of 10, I want to print the value of I normally. But if I is equals to 5, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. So should I print it? Should I not print it? I don't know what to do right now. So I'll simply say pass. I simply say pass. If I run it, we are not doing anything. Pass doesn't do anything. But why do we require pass if we don't want to do anything? But if I don't know this right now, I want to add it later. This particular part of code I want to add it later. Then we use pass. So if we don't use pass, then it throws an error, syntax error. See, like we have text expression if, but there is no body of if. There is no body of if. So Python expects something to be there as part of body. And right now I don't know what to do. So I simply say pass. So I'll add this code later. So I'll use this as a placeholder for adding code later. So that is what pass is used for. Without this pass, I'll get an error. I'll get an error. So that is what pass is used. Otherwise, pass doesn't do anything. It doesn't skip the code. It doesn't break the code. It doesn't do anything. It will just pass it. So there is nothing. So mostly used when you use exceptions. If you have exceptions that to be called, if you know what is exception, you will understand. Otherwise, don't worry, we will discuss it. So if I caught an exception and I don't know what to do, only thing is like if there is an exception, if I don't catch it, my program will terminate abruptly. And if I don't want that to happen, I'll catch my exception. Once I catch it, I know what to do. So in those cases, I'll use pass. So my program runs continuously, flawlessly. So this is one more example of pass.